So this is a stripped down base model, right? I bought this for $22,500. I got a couple features: trailer tow hitch, 400 watt inverter, the Ford 360, so that it makes sure that I don't hit anybody while I'm driving. But what's really cool little feature here for the Maverick is that it has a EV coach, and this is to help teach you how to operate inside of hybrid or on EV. So as you can see right now, as I drive further, there's a little tiny blue icon here, and that hybrid blue icon here has this little blue piece. And if I get off the throttle a little bit, it'll either go in the charge mode if I'm not on the throttle, but if I just lightly attach it, you'll see it'll operate in this like little blue section, which is going to refer to the battery. So we're going to drive this thing around a little bit and let you see how that works. So the EV coach works pretty well. You see this little blue box? If I just decelerate a little bit, get my foot off the throttle, it goes into the blue block. Now this is running on electric. So right now the Maverick is all electric, and I could keep it in here for quite a long time. If you looked on the left-hand side of the screen, that you would see here that it has the amount of power that you're using, not the RPM of the motor. So if I let off the throttle, right, it recharges. And then if I just barely get back on the throttle, it's electric. Now, if I need to boogie woogie out of here, I can just give it some more throttle and it will come up with the hybrid. And then there's that little blue box, which is trying to get me to put the pedal back in there, and that's gonna keep me electric. And I can press the throttle further or come off of it, and I can manipulate it between that little box. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna allow me to operate in the electric mode. And when I come downhill, there's that little green sign that knows that I'm going downhill, so it applies more brake. Now what's also really cool is that if I start pressing the brakes, you'll see here that it'll fill the green box up. But if I brake too hard, you'll see that I come into a gray area, which means I'm not braking efficiently. And when I come to a stop, the EV coach tells me that I return 95% of the potential energy that I could have. And now I can just slowly accelerate here with the electric, and you can see I'm doing 10 miles an hour, and I'm just easing up on the electric pedal here, just trying to keep it in that box. And you'll see, let's see how far we can accelerate here and how fast we can accelerate just using the electric. So I'm just trying to keep it here in this box. And now we're going down a little bit of a hill, so that's gonna make it a little bit easier. But you can see here so far, we've already hit almost 40 miles an hour before we had to kick on to the hybrid motor. Now when the box goes away, that means that the EV battery has been drained. So with the box away, that EV battery gets drained. So now we're sustaining here roughly 58 miles, 57, 55 miles an hour using the EV on pretty flat surface here. So this is actually pretty interesting. So I'm just cruising down the road here, driving naturally at 55. This is on my back farm road here. So you can see here that the EV can keep you going. Now we're going up a slight hill. I'm gonna try to keep it in EV as long as I can. And you can see that we are slowly creeping down from 50 down to 40. And this is a small grade hill. We're gonna come up here onto a little plateau. I'm gonna keep it towards the max of the EV box that I can. And you can see here, as we flatten up, we do start to accelerate again. And on this uphill here, I'm sure it's gonna come out of EV, go into hybrid, because you can see that my box was shrinking, which means that the battery is discharged. Now there's no blue box here on this little segment, which means that the battery has been drained, and it's not gonna allow me to go back. Even if I come right back here into the electric mode, it's not gonna put me back into electric. If I let off, it's gonna go right into charge. And if I start hitting the brakes, you'll see here it'll recharge to the max, and on the left-hand side here it will, but if I brake too hard, it goes gray, and then it's gonna tell me, my brake coach is gonna say that I only received 94% back, right? So the slower and the longer that you brake, the longer you give the vehicle time to recharge its battery. So the more like Miss Daisy you drive, or the more like your grandma you drive, and that's how I drive, they call me Miss Grandma here, that is going to tell you when you can start recouping all of that good battery life. So I like to drive it pretty modestly, and since driving it modestly, I've gotten a real world MPG of 35, a calculated MPG of 40, and this tank, I'll let you guys know when I get to the end of it, but it's probably gonna be around 800 to 1,000 miles.